Straight Shift with the Car Chick, the podcast that's all about cars, buying, selling, fixing, and driving, and sometimes pretty fast if you're the Car Chick. Now, here she is.
Welcome, everyone, to the Straight Shift. I'm really excited today because I have a wonderful guest. I have been working and playing in the automotive industry for a large part of my life. And one of the things that people always ask me is, wow, what is it like to be a woman in such a heavily male-dominated field? And I tell you, it's challenging. And I have been very blessed to meet some incredible women all over the country, from women who run dealerships to women who produce car magazines to Jody DeVere from the AskPatty.com to race car drivers, female mechanics. There's kind of a subculture within the automotive industry of these amazing women who are trying to change the industry, not just for ourselves and for other women who may want to have careers in the industry, but for consumers as well, and for the men who work in the industry. It's truly transformative work that's going on. And so I'm really excited today to have my friend Crystal Johnson on the phone because she started this great organization called Kweens. Hey, Crystal, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Leanne. Thank you for having me.
How's that sinus infection doing? I know you've been sick.
Yes. I still sound a little bit like I'm underneath a bunch of covers, but I'm hoping everyone can understand me today. My nose is still stopped up.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast, even though you're not feeling well. But, that's kind of what we women do. We don't let anything stop us, not even a sinus infection. So, you grew up kind of in the automotive industry in, a much more direct way than I did. And I just went ahead and pulled some statistics from 2017, 2018, because some new stuff just got purchased, or not purchased, but published. And, only 16 women as of 2018 were executives in the top 20 motor vehicle production and parts companies across the entire world. That's crazy. And I know that, you've kind of grown up and seen the dealership world, seen a lot of different areas of the automotive industry, and it's increasing. But even though women make up half of the U.S. labor force, we only represent a quarter of the automotive workforce. And still so many of those are women who are in the back office jobs, who are doing the paperwork, processing the DMV paperwork, doing the accounting, which is good. Granted, I want women doing those detailed tasks, but there's still so few women in leadership roles. And I know that a lot of it is because it's just not a very female-friendly industry. Has that been your experience, Crystal?
Yes, it has. I actually grew up going to drag races when I was younger. My dad and my grandpa were both semi-professional and amateur drag racers at one point in their lives. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. We were all over Oklahoma and Texas on the weekends in the extreme heat, watching cars. And that's kind of where I first caught the bug, for cars, was seeing everybody out there racing and hanging out and working on cars and stuff. And as an adult, I did work in a dealership, and yes, I was kind of shocked going in there, because the only place where women were working was in the office. Everyone else was men. There were all of the service technicians were men, all of the salesmen were men, all of the managers were men. The owner, of course, was a man. And just kind of the way that the women in the office were treated, not that they were treated badly, it's just that there was a clear difference in the way that the women were treated versus the men.
Absolutely. And female customers feel the same way.
Yes.
That's why, I started my company to help women buy cars. And, my former business partner, she had been one of the first female GMs of a dealership in the entire country. She worked for the Hendrick family since she was 15 years old. And that's an organization that tends to treat women better than, a lot of other dealership groups. But even still for her, being the only woman, they were like, honey, what makes you think you can sell cars? Even having, going in there, them knowing that her father was one of their top, managers and had had a career in it. It got her in the door, but it certainly didn't, give her any respect from day one. So did you ever experience one of the things that women complain about, and there are many reasons why the automotive industry has not been kind of a friendly industry for women to work. And part of it is simply logistics. When you work at a car dealership, you work like 80 hours a week.
Right.
And there's no guarantee that you're going to make any money. So that's difficult for women who are trying to balance, a family and, having any life whatsoever and trying to work those kind of crazy hours. But on top of that, even as early as, just last year, 65% of women working in the automotive industry said that they experienced, sexual harassment, feeling unsafe in their work environment, and just having to deal with an incredible amount of sexism and misogyny from the other people in the business, the other guys. And so that's, between those two things, it's not really saying, hey, ladies, this is a great career path.
Right. Yes, I agree. I feel like there's a lot of changes that need to happen, just really in the way that maybe the other men, the male employees, need to be trained when they begin working, how to work with a woman and treat her with respect. I don't know any other setting, like in an office, if you were to go in and speak to a female the way that some of the guys in the automotive world speak to females, and it would be okay. It's like there's a double standard. but for men, and it's in like in two different areas. In a regular office, they would never dream of speaking to a woman in the way that they're speaking to women in the automotive environment. And I think that really needs to be addressed.
I agree. And I think that probably part of it is because, in the dealership world or in any sort of automotive world, unless you are at the, a corporate offices of, say, GM or whatever, it's just kind of a different environment. It's a little more of a working class environment. And of course, I have absolutely nothing against working class people. They're the backbone of our society. I'm married to a master mechanic. And it's kind of funny because he's a much more sensitive guy. He's not the macho guy that typically is in that industry. And he sometimes isn't comfortable with the other folks in the industry because he's like, he hears the comments that they make when women aren't even around. And he's like, really? You just said that came out of your mouth? So it bothers him too. But women I know that have been mechanics, feel that way, the way the guys treat them. It's just not a friendly environment. They think that they can get away with just kind of saying ridiculous and offensive things. And we're women as a whole, especially with the movements that have been happening over the last couple of years, are really working to change that. But it's just so ingrained in the culture of not having that respect. And for some reason, thinking that women are somehow incapable of understanding an automobile.
Right. I have a couple of friends actually that work as service advisors in the service department. They are not actually working on the vehicles, but they do advise on repairs. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard from them that a male customer will come in and they will give them advice on what they need to do to their vehicle. And they just brush it off, or will go to the other service advisor that's a man to double check what the woman just told them.
A car is just a machine,
Yes.
And we're perfectly capable of understanding that machine just as well as a computer or any other type of machine. And so, but it's kind of funny because when I'm shopping for cars for my clients, one of the first things that I do is I always look for the women that are working in the sales, managers or sales reps at the dealerships. And I'm always going to request that, my client do the test drive with a woman, that I try to work with the women, partly to support the other women in the business. But I have also found that there are a lot of benefits to working with the female salespeople and the female managers. And women pay more attention to detail on average, I've found. So it's kind of funny when I call, and sometimes I'm, looking for a used car, say for a client, and it's out of town. It's someplace I can't go put my hands on it. And I just want to get, a high level idea of really what's the condition, how good a shape is this car in, before I recommend to my client, yeah, let's take that next step and actually have, the Lemon Squad or whoever come out and, do a full inspection on it. I asked the guys, I'm like, can you just go put your hands on this car, really look at it closely and tell me if there's any blemishes, any scratches, any scuffs, anything on it, and they'll come back and like, oh yeah, the car's pretty clean, it looks good, blah, 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 and they've missed 10 things. I ask a female salesperson or manager to do that for me. And she comes back and she says, okay, on the left front quarter panel, there is an inch that is 3/4 of an inch long, but it's not through the clear coat, so it will totally buff out. And on the inside, there's this one little thing here. I mean, I get a laundry list with measurements. It's like there is a 1 millimeter chip on the hood. Is that going to be okay for you? It's just a different level of detail. And I find that for the most part, the women that I work with, when I'm working a car deal with them, it doesn't take any time at all. They anticipate what I'm going to ask. They know what I need. And I can get a deal done with them literally in sometimes 2 emails. Whereas the guys, it usually takes 5 or 6 emails. I got to go back to them and say, hey, you forgot to give me the numbers breakdown. Hey, you forgot to give me this number. Right. Ask a bunch of questions. The women, it's like, yep, here you go. Here's all the information you need. Let me know if I missed anything. Boom, we're done.
Yeah, I feel like this is a really big need that is, if it's not already being seen by the higher ups in the motor companies, this is going to be happening soon. More and more women are buying cars on their own. We don't need a man to buy a car anymore. This isn't 1950. And I think it's important to have women in place in the dealership to help the female customers that are coming in so they can feel comfortable. Yeah, this is going to be a huge need.
And it has been. It's not a new need. It's just one that's continuing to grow because women have been responsible, for the last 10 plus years, because we pulled this data when we started our company, back in 2003. Women were responsible even back then for 65% of all car purchases, and over 70% of all car maintenance is done by women. So women are the target market in the automotive industry. Yes. And we have that much purchasing power and the influence over the decisions. Because, even if the husband wants a car, he's not getting anything without his wife's approval.
Right. Exactly.
So, this is why, I met Jody DeVere of AskPatty.com. We started our companies actually the same year, and we've been friends for well over a decade. And she's found with going in and training dealerships, because what AskPatty.com does, for those of my audience that haven't heard of it, it's a website for women to get car advice, but her paying gig is that she goes in and trains dealerships and other automotive retailers on how to best market and sell to women. And through them going through that program to learn how to sell to women, which, let me tell you, does not start with, honey, can I show you the vanity mirror? Or what color would you like?
Oh, man.
Them going through that training also makes them better employers of women. And even the men have said our whole working environment has transformed, and this is a better place to work simply because we have now been trained in how to deal with women. And it's just amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. The dealership that I worked was, it was a family-owned dealership. It was very small. I think there were between 25 and 30 employees, and it felt like I was stepping at least 10 years into the past when I would go into that building. Like, okay, guys, we need to get with the times here. All the women that worked there at the time were in the office, and I will never forget someone's birthday, and we had some cake, and all of the men stood around and waited to be served their cake by the women. And I was just like, what year is this? What is going
Holy
on?
cow.
Yeah.
They weren't just being gentlemen and letting the ladies go first to get their own
Right.
pieces. They actually expected to be served.
Yes. Yes. And
Oh
they,
my
I
God.
mean, they were good guys. It's just that was the culture of that place. And
Right.
it's just something that's it's going to have to change.
Yeah. I've seen it too from, I've been racing cars for, 30 odd years now. And, I'm frequently the only woman at the racetrack, whether I'm just there to instruct. I'm the only female instructor, I think, at the track, whether I'm doing just a practice day or, at the races. One of the reasons that I'm excited about the team that I race for is it's a woman owned race team. So I jumped on board with that right away.
Yeah.
But, I've always found that in order to get the respect of the guys, I have to be so much better than them.
Yes.
So and that's true in any industry. We have to be twice as good. But, I've managed to gain that respect, by beating the guys. They hate it, but at the same time, they they respect me now because they realize, oh, well, she can drive.
Mhm.
Oh, she's driving better than me. I don't like that, but I got to respect it.
Yes.
So I think we're starting to see the changes, and I agree with you that it's going to need to change more because on the service side of the industry, there is a drastic shortage of good mechanics.
Yes.
And I mean, that's the hardest thing for any shop owner. Ask them. He's like, I can't find good people and I can't keep good people. And I think encouraging more women to get into that and making it an industry where women are comfortable. It's a good place for us to work and make money and feel comfortable and have a good career. That's an option that I think that the service side of the industry is just not getting. They're trying to figure out ways to find more mechanics, but they're not looking at the female population. And
Right.
women can make great mechanics. I mean, Bogey from All Girls Garage is one of my dearest friends. Amy Matinette up in Vermont owns a shop up there. Women are good mechanics, and I think that they're going to have to get more of these opportunities. And I know that's partly where Car Queens comes in.
Yes. Yeah. One of the big things that we strive to provide is career training, and helping women to have the skills and knowledge needed, so when an opportunity does come up in their chosen field, there's 10 men that are going for this, but if they have that knowledge, that puts them a step ahead, they can get that opportunity. It gives them a little bit of an advantage. And we're hoping that through scholarships and education and experiences, that we can begin to level the playing field, so to speak, in this industry.
I think that's wonderful. And folks, it's Car Queens, Kweens, which I just love. How did you come about, starting this? There's always a story. We don't try to transform the automotive industry just on a whim.
Yes. It's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it as short as possible. So I worked at a dealership up until I had my youngest son, and after I gave birth to him, I had a really severe complication. My uterus ruptured during delivery. I had to
Ew.
have an emergency C-section, and sometime in there, I contracted a blood infection in the hospital, and it had started eating away basically at my uterus and ovaries and everything, and was spreading throughout my body. By the time,
Yikes.
yeah, it was really, really bad. By the time they got me into surgery, it had attacked my kidneys. I was on a ventilator for several days, couldn't breathe on my own. I was in ICU for about 2 weeks, and I lost a lot of blood in the surgery, and I actually ended up getting my right big toe amputated due to blood loss.
Good grief. You lost a toe from it.
I did. I tell people that, and they're like, "What happened?" And I said, "Well, I had a kid, and I had some complications," and they don't really see how that has
It is
to
kind
do
of a
with it.
random connection. So I can
Right.
see how after an experience like that, going back and working in a dealership environment in those crazy hours is probably just wasn't going to work for you.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't walk normally for a really long time. I couldn't stand for very long. I was doing dialysis 3 days a week until my kidneys healed, and yeah, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go back to work like I had in the past, and I had always wanted to do car reviews or do something on my own with the automotive industry, in the automotive industry. So once I was able, I started up a YouTube channel and I started doing car reviews and going to car shows, taking pictures, covering the event, and that sort of thing. And through that, I got connected to a Facebook group. It's called Miss Gearheads.
Yep,
And
I love that.
yes, I was able to see just that there were all these women out there like me, that were really into cars and were doing all kinds of awesome stuff. Like there were female mechanics, there were female shop owners, racers, there were marketing people running huge car events across the United States, and I was just blown away because I've always kind of felt like I was weird for liking to do this, and there's all these other women out there, and
There's a lot of us weirdos out there.
yeah, so I was like, I want to help these women. I'm not like a really talented driver. I'm not good at working on vehicles, but I know that there are people out there that want to do that and want to take that to the next level. And I thought maybe by forming this nonprofit, I can help those women that maybe don't have the means to do that on their own, to have those opportunities.
And I think that's wonderful. That's one of the things that I know that Bogey is working on as well, with coming up with some scholarships for women, to become mechanics, because
Yes.
we need more women in the industry. And what I have been so impressed with, I went to SEMA last year, the Specialty Equipment Manufacturers Association. It's basically, for those of you in my audience who don't know, it is the largest convention for car related crap in the world. There was literally an entire room with nothing but lug nuts. It was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, but there's a special group called She Is SEMA for all the women that were there, and they had a special cocktail party for us, and with a special drink and all that other stuff. So we all hung out and munched on food and got drunk together. But it was so fun because so many of us know each other from online, and we've connected through Facebook and other social media, or we've connected through each other, and being able to finally get together in the same room, women from all different areas of the automotive industry, from engineers to race car drivers to marketers to dealership owners to shop owners to mechanics, and we were all just figuring out, how can we help each other? Not are we competing against each other, but truly, whatever anybody's doing, we're going to support it because it's awesome.
And that's the thing that I've been most impressed with is there's no competition. I mean, there are definitely competitive women out there, but they're not trying to one up another woman. It's all about support and helping them be their best in whatever lane they choose. And that, I just find that amazing. You don't find that everywhere.
You really don't, and it's wonderful. And I love what you're doing with the. Let's talk a little bit about the Fast Her Road Rally. That sounds like so much fun and something that I could probably get in a lot of trouble doing.
Yeah. The Faster Road Rally is going to be the major fundraising source for Car Queens Association this year. It's going to be held October 18th through the 20th, and we're going to basically cruise across the state of Oklahoma, hitting some different spots along the way. We're going to start in the Wichita Mountains of southwest Oklahoma near the Lawton area. We're going to go up through Oklahoma City, spend a night downtown, and then finally go through along Route 66 up to Tulsa and finish up on Sunday there. It is female only. There are 50 available spots with two people per car, so like 100 women, 50 cars. Um,
Awesome.
it's a great chance to raise money for our mission. You know, it's going to go directly back to women in automotive, for one thing. You also get a chance to network with other women that are interested in cars, have fun doing something that is generally, uh, it's mostly men on these kinds of activities, other
Right.
rally
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
events. So this is something specifically for women. It gives you a chance to do something unique. And also, we have some really great roads here. I know a lot of people are not excited about coming to Oklahoma, but but
It's not as flat as Nebraska, people. It's way
that's
more interesting than
true.
Nebraska.
But, you know, I'm from here, so I know the roads really well. I know some good spots to go. And also, it's kind of halfway in between West Coast and East Coast. So I thought it'd be a good meeting place. Um, I do plan on doing this every year, and I would like to do it in a different state each year. So this will be the first time. I'm just really hoping that it just happens. You know, I would love to make a whole bunch of money for women in automotive, but I'm just really hoping that this first one happens and that we have a good turnout. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
And you've got to start somewhere. This it reminds me of, some of the other rallies that have started over the years. The biggest one obviously being La Rallye des Gazelles, which happens across the Sahara Desert, which is on my bucket list of things to do. But, I've got to literally carve out 2 weeks to drive
Yeah.
across the Sahara Desert. That's kind of like, your Olympic level type rally. And
Yes.
they then a few years ago started an American version of it in California, and it's a multi-day rally. Again, it's an off-road type rally across the California and Nevada desert. This would be a good way for women that are like, oh, I don't know that I can get a four-wheel drive vehicle and learn how to do literal off-road rally racing.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's a little bit more, okay, this is how to get my feet wet. Sounds like you can do it in a normal car because you're going to be on roads. You don't need an off-road racing truck.
Exactly. Yes. We will be on paved roads only. Yes. So you don't have to worry about your car getting, a bunch of dirt and sand in it or rock chips, hopefully. And we'll be cruising around some pretty cool sites. Well, the Wichita Mountains in Oklahoma are some of the oldest mountains in the United States. There's a really cool little mountain town that we're going to be going through along a lake. I'm hoping to incorporate a little bit of drag racing one afternoon. I'm still waiting to hear back from the drag strip, but I thought that could be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And also, I wanted to mention that until June 21st, I have dropped the price to participate $400.
Oh, wow,
So
great.
right now, until June 21st, you can register 2 people, and that's one car for $600. And that's all of your hotel. That's at least 3 catered meals and all of the rally events for both of you. So,
Holy cow, that's
300
amazing.
apiece. Yeah.
Wow. So all you have to do is figure out how to get your butt to Oklahoma
Yeah.
and you're good to go. I mean, you could even do this, in a rental car.
Yes.
I would probably talk to some of my manufacturers and say, hey, can you drop me off a whatever?
Yeah.
And let me drive that. Although, my car Maggie would probably get upset if I didn't take her to do that. She knows she can't do the off-road rally racing, which, she would really love to do. But
Yeah. Yeah, it would be a great bonding experience for you and your car, for sure.
Well, Maggie and I bond quite a bit. So we have a lot of, little rallies around here in the Carolinas because we're close to the tail of the dragon. So
Nice.
we do lots of tail of the dragon kind of stuff. And, Maggie's been on the dragon and she loves doing that. And, the biggest challenge that I have is, how have the police been notified and do we have any leeway in terms of the speed limit?
Yeah, that's one of the. I mean, there's a saying that says, they can't pull us all over if we're all going 80 or something like that. I'm hoping that they're nice.
Well, that sounds like really fun and a great way for women to just have, a really unique kind of girls' weekend and to be
Yeah.
able to check off the state of Oklahoma if they've never been there. I've been through Oklahoma. I happen to think it's a beautiful, beautiful place.
Oh,
So it's
awesome.
one of those states a lot of people haven't been able to cross off their list. And, to be able to help raise money to go directly to scholarships and career training to support women who are either in the automotive industry and want to advance their career or want to get started in the automotive industry and aren't quite sure how or have the money to maybe go to school and get their mechanics degree. I think this is a really, really wonderful idea, and I commend you for starting this. It's
Well,
awesome.
thank you so much. I really hope that we can help as many women as possible and increase that every year. That's my goal.
Well, you said your dad and your brother were into drag racing. So have you ever gotten your butt on the strip or another racetrack?
No, it was actually my dad and my grandpa. My dad sold his drag racing car when I was born. That was part of the deal, I guess, was he was gonna quit doing that and have a
See,
little
this is
extra
why I
money.
don't have children. This is why I choose not to have children because you have to give up your toys, and I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, yeah, he gave it up. My grandpa also he quit drag racing. Gosh, I think my dad was in his early 20s and my grandpa kind of retired from drag racing, but he was semi-professional and he traveled quite a bit. He raced a funny car like in the early 80s. And yeah, I never did get to try it out. Nobody had a car for me to drive, and um, yeah, I don't think my dad was too excited about me wanting to be a drag racer anyway. So
Well, I found that the NHRA is actually, of all the racing organizations, they have been some of the most supportive of women. And I give so much of that credit to John Force, just because
yes,
he had all daughters and he really had no choice if he wanted to pass on his legacy. It had to go to the girls.
right,
And, obviously,
exactly.
Brittany has done amazing. Courtney's been amazing. They actually taught me how to drag race once because we have, of course, the big Z-Max 4-wide place here in Charlotte, which is
Oh
the
yeah,
Bellagio of drag strips. It's amazing. And the one time that I did it, because I'm not really a drag racing fan. It's a great rush, but I like road racing. I like to actually turn left and right when I race
yeah.
and do it for 24 hours. But the drag racing was fun because going from 0 to 120, 150 or even more miles per hour in just a few seconds, it's literally the same type of g-forces that Navy pilots experience when they launch an F-18 off of a aircraft carrier, and your eyeballs try to shoot out the back of your head. My vision started to it went black. It had that kind of like tunnel vision going, and I could feel my body like wanting to black out and going, nope, 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 keep my eyes open, keep my eyes open.
Yeah,
It was just an
that's
incredible
crazy.
experience. It was fun. So maybe we'll have to get you into a drag car at
Yeah,
some point so that you can experience what your dad and grandpa did.
absolutely. One day I'm down for it for sure.
I love it. Well, thanks so much for sharing this information and just sharing your personal experiences. I think it helps other women to hear from other women who have been in the automotive industry and have had experiences, some experiences good, some experiences not so good, but we still always kind of find our own niche in the industry and find a way to succeed. So what is the website that people can go to learn more about Car Queens, and maybe even, if they can't participate in the rally, perhaps make a donation if they want to support these scholarships?
Absolutely. Yes. Our website is www.carqueens, and that's KWEENS.com. And from there, yes, we have a tab where you can make a donation if you'd like. And there's also a tab on there for the Fast Her Rally. If you're interested in participating, you can learn all about it there.
That sounds awesome. Maybe we'll start with that rally. I've got to call some of my other girlfriends in the industry, and maybe we can get one of the manufacturers to sponsor us because I'm not sure I'm ready to do the full off-road racing as much as I want to. I'm not sure my body's quite ready to do that at this point, but well, thanks so much, Crystal. I really appreciate you being a guest and sharing your experience, and I hope you get over your sinus infection, and I look forward to seeing more of your car review videos on YouTube as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Leanne.
Everyone, I hope you will consider checking out Car Queens, maybe participating in the Fast Her Rally, and just otherwise drive safely. Until next time, we're out of here.
The Straight Shift Podcast is copyright Leanne Shattuck, The Car Chick, 2017. All views expressed by guest and or co-hosts are those of the guest and or co-hosts, and not necessarily those of Leanne Shattuck or The Car Chick.